Oh, you think a 401k is a scam? Well, I'm gonna prove to you today that not only is a 401k not a scam, but it might be one of the best retirement building, wealth building strategies out there. Let me show you. Hey everyone, welcome back to my classroom. I'm Thatcher Taylor. I'm the owner of ProPath Financial. I'm gonna debunk the 401k is a scam nonsense. This video is gonna work on two levels. One, it's gonna make people that think a 401k is a scam, it's gonna make them really mad. But two, if you have 401ks, this is gonna be very encouraging to continue working with your 401k as an element to your retirement planning growth. And I'm gonna show you how taxes play into this and how it plays into your absolute income distribution strategy throughout the life of your retirement. So let's get into it. This video is going to be broken down into four parts. One, becoming a millionaire with your 401k. Two, how Social Security plays into this, because we have to talk about a Social Security payment when we talk about income distribution strategies. Three, we're going to talk about a retirement plan and how this all works with your retirement plan. Then number four, we're going to talk about the tax ramifications of these decisions with your 401k and the income distribution strategy. And as a bonus, I'm gonna give you two tips with this particular scenario in my retirement plan that's gonna help you make a better distribution strategy for retirement if it fits your world. Let's talk about how to become a millionaire with your 401k, and I'm gonna show you exactly what it would look like. Okay, to show you how to be a millionaire with your 401k, I'm gonna use a historical example, and here's what I mean. Let's say you maxed out your 401k for 31 years. In this particular example, I went all the way back to 1993. Let's say you're gonna retire at 67 and you started working at 37, but for whatever reason in your life, you were not accumulating any assets. At age 37, you had nothing and you were starting from scratch. In 1993, the max you could put into your 401k is $9,240. So what I did is I took that number, multiplied it by 10, and that's your salary. In this example, $92,400. So basically this means you were able to put 10% of your salary into your 401k and that would have maxed it out. So if you maxed out your 401k every single solitary year, which you can see the amount that can be contributed into your pre-tax 401k increases over the past 30 years to now this year in 2023 it's $22,500. I took those amounts, I multiplied it by 7% average rate of return for the remaining years. So in year 14's contribution, there was only 16 more years of growth that were allowed because there's, again, that's only a 16-year-old contribution. But if you contributed back in the day, it'd be 7% over 30 years. If you only contributed last year and you got 7%, it would be this. So that's an average. 7% is just an average. The S&P 500 average over that period of time was like 10%. So I'm reducing this way back to make it look conservative. But let's say you max those out, we future valued all those, I added them all up. Your portfolio is worth $1.4 million. You max out your 401k for 30 years based on the IRS allowable amount, 7% a year with each contribution, $1.4 million. Then I said, what if your company gave you a match at 4%? I took 4% of your salary, did the same thing, 7% per year for every year that the contribution was in there. There's another $563,000 for a total of $1.9 million in your 401k. Boom, you're a millionaire. So now that we know how many assets you have, let's assume you don't have anything else. You just have your 401k. You're very diligent with your 401k at the moment. Now let's talk about how much you'll receive in Social Security, because again, we're talking about retirement income distribution. So on socialsecurity.gov, there's a benefits planner. You can literally enter in your Social Security wages for that particular year and it'll spit out an estimated amount of your Social Security benefit. So I took all those salaries that I just showed you from that Excel spreadsheet, or Google Sheet I should say. I entered them all in, including 2023, calculate your benefit, $3,323. All right, I hope you've made it just far. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate everyone tuning in and watching these. I just want to deliver really high quality information for retirees to have a higher quality retirement. So make sure to hit that thumbs up and make sure to subscribe so you can see all the next videos. There's going to be some great stuff coming. Now, let's go over the financial plan, the fun stuff. All right, so here's where we're at with Joe and Jane Wealth. I did make this scenario up, but I just want to show you what it would look like if you only had a big 401k for your income distribution strategy coupled with Social Security. Joe and Jane, let's say they have the big 401k, 1.9 million. I took that from the calculation earlier. And let's just say they paid off their home. Let's just say they were diligent. Over 30 years, they paid off their home. Congratulations. But we can't really distribute that as income. So it's just a nice free place to live in. What I've entered in here for them is, let's just say they're going to retire at 67. Then they're going to pay for their retirement monthly expenses, and I've incorporated every single solitary year until they pass away a $10,000 vacation for the two of them. It's going to be inflation adjusted every single year. The retirement monthly expense, let me tell you what I did here. I basically took the amount of the 401k and I multiplied it by 4%. Basically using the 4% rule just as an example. I don't really use a 4% rule in my income distribution strategies, but in general, let's use it as a baseline because we know it's the safe withdrawal rate where you'll make it through retirement. So $2 million times 4%, that's $80,000. So the first year, Joe and Jane, they're going to be able to pull up to $80,000 from their portfolio if they want. So that's just what I built in here. And let me show you what that looks like. I put here in goals a retirement monthly expense of $6,700. $6,700 times 12 is $80,000. That's how much we're going to potentially want to spend in retirement. But that's actually going to be really easy with Social Security. So let me show you. So let's say the retirement now, there's a 59% chance this works out, where they have a moderately aggressive portfolio of 60% equities, 40% bonds. They spend 4% per year plus an inflation adjustment all the way to age 100. In almost 60% of the scenarios, this worked out really well. And in 41% of the scenarios, it did not fail. It just means I had to make an adjustment, or you had to make an adjustment on what you were already doing. You can see right here in the first year of Social Security, this is that $3,300 per month for Joe. And then Jane takes the spousal benefit, so 50% of that. In the first year, they get almost $60,000 from Social Security. There's their expenses, the $80,000, a little bit extra for health care, just in case, because Medicare doesn't cover everything. There's the vacation. Here's the tax bill. We'll come back to you, I promise. So they need to distribute $49,591 from their portfolio. This is a reasonable amount of money that they pull from their portfolio, which is far less than the 4% from the portfolio, so their distribution is actually less. We can see moving in the next year that their Social Security got an inflation adjustment, their expenses got an inflation adjustment, their healthcare got an inflation adjustment, their vacation got an inflation adjustment, and their taxes were even a little bit more. So they need to withdraw $52,000 from that 401k. So far, so good. Things look like we can make a really good income distribution strategy in retirement up to this point. But I promise you we'd make some adjustments. So I told you there's 60% equity, 40% bonds. What if we just incorporated a 10% bump in equities? Just a diversified portfolio of equities, not individual stocks. That's a substantial bump up to a 68% probability. And the reason for that is that long-term growth over 30 years helps with the tail end costs outweighing the portfolio and having to over distribute in your late 90s, since this plan is going out to 100. So now you're getting a little bit more growth because we're distributing a little bit less. So this gives you a huge buffer where in only 32% of the scenarios we had to make some adjustments, and you were able to spend what you wanted plus 4% and a little inflation along the way. But I got something even better. I like to use a dynamic spending approach with my clients. It's a very deliberate strategy where when the market does well, you get a little bump. When the market does poorly, we say, we're gonna cut back just a tiny bit. Not a lot, but just a little bit. Using a more dynamic spending strategy increases your probability of success in retirement by a substantial margin, a huge margin. It's almost a completely different distribution strategy in retirement. Because again, if we go to the cash flows, you still need that same amount of money in any one of these years. But now what I can do is, because it's more dynamic, we can distribute more in good years, which the market's usually up historically 4 out of 5 years. And when there's a bad market scenario on an inflation adjusted methodology, you have to pull out 4% plus inflation. But when there's a bad market scenario with a dynamic spending strategy like the guardrails, we know to pull back a tiny bit to let the portfolio recover for future distributions. It helps out substantially in the distribution strategy throughout retirement. Now, Thatcher, you're probably saying, what about taxes? Great question. Let me show you. In that first year of 2023, here's how it looks if we were just to go about our business the way that we just discussed. $49,591 would be distributed from the IRA, and it would all be taxable because we're assuming your IRA or your 401k, is pre-tax. $59,000 would come from Social Security. So the amount of money that you're receiving would actually make Social Security partially taxable. $36,000 would be taxable. So $49,000 plus 36 is $85,000 your actual total income for the year. Then you take the standard or itemized deduction. In this case, it's the standard because you're most likely not going to have enough itemized deductions. 85 minus 30 equals your actual taxable income is $55,000. From that amount of money, the $55,000, that's where you dig into the tax brackets, and it came out with $6,000 in taxes. A far less taxable situation than what people tell you when they say, oh, well, your 401k in retirement is going to be taxed at 22%. So they take 22% just right off the top, which is not an accurate depiction at all. In fact, this $6,000 just from the distribution, because that's all that people say is 22% from the 401k is going to be taxable. $49,000 came from the 401k. You only had $6,000 in taxes. That's actually 12%. It's crazy that people say those crazy taxable numbers to put fear in your mind about the 401k. The taxes are not as bad as you think. I hope this was helpful in planning for retirement and giving you some confidence with your 401k that it's going to be a great resource for you in retirement. There are a lot of other decisions that come into play that we didn't discuss, but this is just a good illustration of what could be built with your 401k if you contribute to it properly. So definitely a 401k is not a scam. If anybody ever tells you that, turn and run away fast. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. If you want a comprehensive financial planner like me, please go down below. There's a link to my fee-only fiduciary retirement investment company, ProPath Financial. Click Get Started. I'll reach out to you set a time to chat more about your scenario. Thank you so much for watching.